Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Mindset Monday. And today we are going to talk about timing. You know, it's funny. I've always realized that, like, the more you control your time, okay, especially when it comes to like building your companies and doing the things that you need to do, the more you control your time, the more successful you are. Okay. And what I mean by that is knocking out as much as you can each and every day, right? You control that for the main part. Really, God controls it, but that's been a big thing I always think about is like, hey, with 75 hard, you kind of learn how to dictate and push through and get everything done in a day. And then, I look at the case of my son, right, and how he's developed with hockey and how maybe last year when we were late to the tryout schedule and he wound up playing on a team that wasn't a really good team, but it really helped him develop and he had fun. And then I think of like this year, going from year one to year two and then God's timing, and he just got into the best hockey academy in the state.
Oh,
um, Legitimately, where like it's a Christian school where he just he skates 2 hours a day. He trains 3 hours a day and then does school for 4 hours a day.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and he just got accepted, right? And I laugh because like God's timing really is perfect with that, and so like that's what we have to look forward to. It was kind of cool. We were meeting some of his soon to be teammates for next year, and these kids literally like it is like the Mighty Ducks. Like they same team goes to class together, does everything together,
Uh,
trains together, like nonstop for a year, and then these kids stick with each other for like the next, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years. One of the teams that they have what came in second in the nation last year.
that's
So it's yeah, it's a pretty cool program.
awesome.
Like yeah, so it's funny, like you can push and you can, it goes back to that like analogy, right? You can do everything you can do, and it's still up to God, but you have to bring it to that point where you've done everything that you can do. And I'll tell you this: with my son, he did like he was training 3, 4, 5 times a week, doing all the stuff on his own. So, guys, like, gotta leave it all out there every day, every single day. Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, 100%, man. And and I'm sure as being a parent. Oh boy, the voice is going already. Being a parent, man, like that time just flies, dude. Like
Yeah.
it goes so fast. My son's gonna be double digits very soon. Within 6 months, and we know that's gonna go in a blink of an eye. My daughter's
Mhm.
gonna be six already in like 2 weeks, not even in like 11 days. My little birthday buddy. So that goes fast. But on the flip side too, from adulthood, man, like you want to talk about God's timing, you can never question that because that timing can be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I lost somebody I grew up with earlier this year, and I lost somebody else last week who was really close with me. We had a lot of moving parts together, and they're both young, man, like in their mid 40s, dude. And it's unfortunate when those type of events happen, and it kind of slows you down a little bit to like put things into perspective. Like, hey, man, we don't have a lot of time. Time is finite. The only problem with it is you don't know when you're punching out the clock. There's really no prediction on that. And a lot of people, I think, in general, we're still guilty of coasting and going through the motions. And that will have tomorrow, right? I'm from the quote unquote Rocky area, right? Like living in southeastern PA, and Apollo Creed and Rocky Four has that great quote when they're training. There is no tomorrow, right? There is no tomorrow, man. And if you're not looking at it from that perspective, you're gonna I'm my biggest fear is just having regrets to that. It makes me wonder sometimes, what my boy was thinking. We had a lot of projects and stuff that we were working on, different stuff like coming up. And that was a big talk. Like, we knew going in, he beat one thing, but apparently something came completely different. And it's like, hey man, we got this lined up. Let me be healthy and we're gonna rock and we're gonna do our thing. And shit just never panned out, man. And you can't question it. It is what it is. You know, I'm not sad about that per se. It's more like disappointed that we didn't get the opportunity. I know we would have done something pretty unique because we have before. And you know, it just puts an awareness on it, man. It's like, you know, to keep it simple, don't fuck around.
Yeah.
You know, it's it.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, a lot of that is living with intention too. Like 75 hard teaches you how to do that, right? Hey, I gotta get 2 workouts. I gotta drink this much water. You know, and you plan for your day ahead of time. Well, why aren't you doing that in every area of your life, every single day?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I will tell you, for me, yes, is it nice to be able to kick back and just relax at your house on a weekend? Absolutely. But those weekends drive me crazy. I rather be out and doing something.
Yeah.
You know, like this weekend, it was my wife's birthday weekend. So we went to the beach, and then yesterday we finally, first time in 6 months, I got out on my boat,
Nice.
you know, and that was a blast, you know. And in between that, I was taking some, you know, some calls, some just answering stuff. But that was a good weekend to me, right? That's living with intention, right? You don't go through life without that, because when you do, you're just gonna feel lost, right? Think about what you want to get done for the day, write it down, get it done. I will say this, like being part of operator standard, the power list was always pretty useful, but when you actually operate from it on a daily basis, when it's just part of what you do, it makes everything that much easier and that much better, right? So think about this, guys. Like the mind, the concept of the power list. Pick 5 things that you need to get done the next day. Okay, get those done, whatever that is, and it should be 5 things towards, you know, what you're doing with your job or with your career. Now, if you want to use, get that out of here. If you want to use other things, right? Um, if you want to delete other things, like fitness, you know, what are 5 things you need to do for fitness, right? That's massive. Okay, 5 things you need to do for your faith. Okay, and if you do those things every single day, you grow in those areas. Like you can't help but not grow in those areas. All right, so identify those things, put them down, and then that's, you know, when you get done with that, everything else is a bonus.
Yeah.
All right. And operating that way with that level of intentionality, you will get the results that you're looking for. Now, that means that you actually have to pick meaningful things, right? You can't just target like easy things. Oh, wake up today. No, that's not going to get it done, right? You know, like I'll give you an example for a business. Like, hey, did I post my podcast today? Did I record, you know, 3 episodes this week? You know, did I follow up on all the leads I had and I was supposed to follow up on? Like the things that are going to actually move the needle for you is what you need to focus on and what you need to put down.
Yeah. And I think one more thing to add to that, you want to talk about operator standard, you know, reflect on your day at the end, you know, whether you want to call it journaling or gratitude or you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, what went right. And I think a lot of people tend to lean towards, hey, what went wrong, or what do I have to do the next day that's just killing me? Stop thinking in that mindset and be like, hey man, what if all these critical tasks that I've done today, yes, hopefully you did win them, but what else have you won and gained along the way, and reflect back on that, because now you're creating that positive momentum going into the next day instead of negative momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, I was in a bad, like, for a while there, back towards the end of the year, like I was in a bad negative streak where I just couldn't like get my mind out of it and frame like, okay, like what went right, even small like things. And it just helps so much create that dynamic and that flow going into the next day and the continuously compound wins.
Yeah. One thing I would say that has been big for me, because it's very easy to get down on yourself when you're focusing on what went wrong. right? Is switching what went wrong to what could I have done better.
Yep.
Okay. And I mean that. I know that sounds like, very la la land, but switch what went wrong to what could I have done better and how.
Yeah.
Okay. And then implement that. All right. But guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We will catch you on Financial Fitness Friday. Have a great week, guys.
Till then, be great, y'all.